Another thing I want to get into, I'm not sure if you saw this or not. Actually, I know that you saw this, and it's been kind of trending all day long. And it's a radio segment where the people in Green Bay or ESPN Milwaukee had a pretty interesting take on how they want the Packers to stop Brock Purdy. So just take a listen to this and then tell me what you think.
But Gabe, I go back and it's little things like this. And the reason we won in 95 when no one gave us a chance in San Francisco is because we intimidated them. I mean, and I always revert to Wayne Simmons. Wayne Simmons kicked the crap out of Brent Jones. And then it got contagious and then it carried over. That's why you guys are going to think I'm crazy.
Well, we already think that, so go ahead.
A 15-yard penalty, and I don't condone this, but I kind of do in the playoffs. A 15-yard penalty for a late hit on Brock Purdy is not a bad thing as long as it's worth it. I'm just saying, this is the mindset you go into when it's battle, and it's kind of like the reverse of hockey. What don't they do in hockey in the playoffs, Joshy?
Shave their beards?
That and one other thing.
They don't fight.
They don't fight. They don't fight, right? This is kind of like sometimes a 15-yard penalty is worth it early in the game if you knock the living crap out of the guy. And then he kind of like sticking your helmet in the ribs of Nick Bosa is like, but I'm hearing ghosts.
Okay.
So that was the radio segment. Obviously,
that's Mark Chmura, right?
Yeah, it's never a good take when you're advocating for players to hurt other players out of pocket. You know, that's what's your take on that?
Okay, first of all, let's touch base on a couple things. One, Rich, it's not about my take. It's about how do football players actually feel about what Chmura just said there. Here's Richard Sherman's comment. He said, "This is disgusting and has no place anywhere in sports or sports commentary. There's never a scenario where this is okay for any person or team." So I would agree with that. And I would also say that, you know, it's just such a, I almost asked Purdy about it today. And I may ask him about it tomorrow at his locker when there's not everybody gathered around, when the microphones are not all hot, you know, where I may go up to him tomorrow at his locker and just say, "Hey, Brock, I know you heard this. What do you think of that?" And just see his organic reaction, because here's the problem. He understands in a presser today that thing's carried by the NFL Network. That thing's going coast to coast. So he's probably going to claim that he didn't see it, or that he's not bothered by the dialogue. He might have said, "Yeah, that's interesting. I did see that. I really don't have a comment on that." I don't think I was going to get a great, awesome answer from him. Otherwise, I would have asked it. I also felt like, why am I dignifying this moronic comment from Mark Chmura, who's like, you know, had his own issues and hot tubs with, you know, women and stuff. You know, we can go peel the onion on Mark Chmura, and I don't think he wants to do that. So he might, you know, it's like who the F is Mark Chmura anyway at this point, right? But then let's also say, well, go back to that game, okay, that he's referring to. The 1995 Packers-Niners playoff game. Mike Holmgren was the head coach. It was held January 6th at Candlestick. Green Bay won that game 27-17. The 49ers early in that game threw a pass to the flat to Adam Walker, who was a running back. Craig Newsome, who was a young corner from ASU, hit him. The ball popped out. Newsome picked it up, and he ran it in for a touchdown, and immediately packs up 7-0. Then Favre found Keith Jackson on a touchdown on the next possession, 14-0. Then Favre found Chmura on a 13-yard touchdown reception, 21-0. That's what happened. You want to talk what happened in that game? That's what happened. And if the 49ers fall into a 21-0 hole, they're going to be in trouble again. And there was two things that the 49ers did in that game. The 49ers, by the way, had more total yards in that game. They were the better team. That's why they were at home. Niners had 308 total yards, 308 passing yards, I should say, 395 total yards. Green Bay had 294 passing yards, 368 total yards. The difference in that game was the 49ers had 8 penalties for 72 yards and 4 turnovers, and Green Bay had none. That's what happened in that game. It wasn't about Wayne Simmons hitting Brent Jones hard. No. It was about 4 turnovers and being -4 on the turnover margin. And if get this, if the Niners in this game are -4 on the turnover margin and fall into a 21-0 hole, they may lose as well. Right. That's what I took away from that. Not a dirty hit by Wayne Simmons on Brent Jones set a tone, and so that Green Bay ought to have a dirty hit on Brock Purdy to set the tone. But it also kind of tells me that Mark Chmura looks at the Niners-Packers and thinks that the Niners are quite a bit better, and that it may take a dirty hit that somehow hurts the 49er quarterback to get Green Bay over in this matchup. It's classless. It's pathetic. It's weak. There's no place for it. I agree with Richard Sherman. It's disgusting. There is no place in sports or sports commentary for it. I can't agree with Richard Sherman more. And all I would say to Chewy is, bro, you're putting the ass in class. And as far as that game, obviously you took too many freaking hits to the head, because that's not why Green Bay won that game. Green Bay won that game because the Niners fell into a 21-0 hole, and the Niners were -4 in turnovers. -4. So little revisionist history on the part of Chmura. It also shows that he's pretty classless. But I will say this. The more physical team has got a great chance to win this game Saturday night. Yeah. I don't think Wayne Simmons intimidated the Niners. And I don't think Brock Purdy's going to be intimidated by any hard hit. But physicality is a big part of pro football. And the Niners have to be physical in this game for sure. And Green Bay does as well. And I really do believe the team that is more physical is going to have a great chance to win. But that's not why Green Bay won. Green Bay won because they jumped out to a big lead and they were +4 in turnovers.
Obviously, it's a terrible comment. I understand his overarching, like, kind of general what he's trying to get at, but he just said it in the worst way possible. Like, I don't
say it out loud.
Yeah,
I mean,
you don't say that. He said it in the most douchebag, like, he just said it in the worst way he possibly could. Like, he kind of showed his true colors. But I understand what he's trying to say in a sense that, be aggressive, get hits on the quarterback. Any defensive coordinator will tell his team, get hits on the quarterback, hit the quarterback. Because there's a chance he might get hurt. And if he gets hurt or if he gets afraid, he plays like a different player. And that can change the game. And it obviously worked for the Eagles last year when Brock Purdy left the game. So obviously you're not trying to intentionally hurt someone, but football is an inherently violent sport, and you can hit a player hard and hurt them legally. So I'm not saying that you should ever try to hurt a player, but it's obviously, every down you're trying to hit the quarterback. So,
well, I mean, in this game,
a way that you can say it. There's a way that you can say it, and he didn't say it right.
Seriously, go after the quarterback, get some hits on the quarterback. But the idea that you would intentionally, what he's kind of saying is take
a penalty. Take a penalty,
take a late hit, a personal foul.
That's wrong.
To get hit the quarterback, outside the rules of the game. Now in that game, Steve Young was intercepted twice and was sacked 3 times. Brett Favre was 21 of 28 for 299 yards, 2 touchdowns, and was only sacked once all day and threw no interceptions. So I understand what he's saying. If he said, let's just say he said it this way, hey, guess what? I've played in the playoffs before. The Packers have to show up, be super physical, get some hits on the quarterback, and really affect the quarterback. If he had said that, that's one thing. But the way he said that was, that makes it seem like, hey, you're gonna make a phone call, put a hit on the guy.
Yeah, and it's do people have such short memories, because it's like every single time there's a dirty hit, it's viral, and this is disgusting. This is disgusting behavior, and that's basically what he was insinuating. He was saying take a penalty, which means that you're doing it on purpose late. So it's like didn't Derwin James almost get suspended this year because he had too many, or is it different safety? I'm thinking of someone, but like that's something that's on your permanent record. Like your permanent, like late hits on a quarterback that are obvious and intentional. Like that almost goes on your, NFL sole record. Like you were a dirty player. And like, I'm not sure if players really want to be remembered for that reason.
Well, and also, I mean, the funny thing is it's so lazy, and it's like, dude, you played in this game. You could have busted out the box score and said, hey, look, I have experience playing the 49ers in San Francisco on the road in the playoffs. And they were the top seed. And we rolled in and beat them by 10. And how did we do it? Well, you know what? We led 21-3 at halftime. And Craig Newsome got an early turnover. And, we sacked their quarterback and affected Steve Young more than they sacked Brett Favre and affected Brett Favre. But also, if you look at this game, the great Jerry Rice had 11 catches for 117 yards in that game. He was fantastic. But they kept Jerry out of the end zone. That was one. And then if you looked at what Green Bay did offensively, Robert Brooks caught 4 balls for 103 yards, and Keith Jackson caught 4 balls for 101 yards and a touchdown. If the Niners' top receiver gets no touchdowns, and the Niners have a bunch of penalties and they fall into a hole and they're -4 in turnovers, and at the end of the day, one of those Green Bay tight ends has over 100 yards and a touchdown, and one of their receivers has over 100 yards. Yeah. I mean, that's why they could lose, or that's why, Green Bay could beat the 49ers, not because, somebody came unabated into the backfield and threw Brock Purdy to the turf and drew a penalty. I mean, it's like, and they traded that for some hard hit, or you had some, concussion on Purdy. I mean, I'll say this. I mean, you saw it last year in the Philly game. These guys play for real. And when the money's on the table, anything goes, to some level, as far as you saw Hassan Reddick grab Brock Purdy's elbow and basically torque it out of its deal and rip ligaments. I mean, guys are playing for keeps in the postseason when the money's on the table, but you don't advocate doing anything dirty. You advocate getting after the quarterback legally. I mean, but maybe he feels like the 49ers are the better team, and that's the only way Green Bay gets over. Maybe that's what he was trying to tell us without really saying that.